Welcome to this explainer. Look, today we're diving headfirst into something truly gripping, a remarkably dark, incredibly profound fable. We're going to be breaking down a text that basically frames the ultimate Fichtean dialectic. And hey, if you're into philosophical structures, you already know what we're talking about here. We're looking at that agonizing, inescapable struggle between human vitality, the warmth of actually living, and mechanical inevitability. The cold clockwork of the universe that, let's face it, eventually stops for all of us. It's a deep dive into existential endurance, and I am absolutely thrilled to unpack this with you today.
Right off the bat, I want you to just take in the sheer absolute ice of Big Ben's voice here. It immediately drags us into this intense courtroom battle, but a battle that's playing out entirely inside the human psyche. Listen to this. You catalog vitality as though it were a virtue. This is the last man's comfort, to call exhaustion wisdom. Man, that is chilling. The source material doesn't just treat Big Ben as some passing negative thought. No, he's a highly structured configuration of cold, calculated logic. He's literally putting the very concept of human warmth on trial.
So let's descend right into the dreamscape where this all starts, looking at the sleeper and the flame. Picture this. It's the fifth night, as sleep finally takes over our main character, Sir Brain. His fragile human spirit, which the text beautifully calls the honest flame, starts to falter. It's burning low. And then the residual denser cells within his own flesh open this keyless door, pulling Sir Brain into a polished black metal cell that reflects absolutely nothing. His denser cells are literally multiplying, forcing him down into a dream space where Big Ben is waiting. And let me be clear, Big Ben is no longer just a loose concept here. He is solidified into a completely inescapable physical presence. This brings us to the actual battlefield itself, an abyss with walls that gets a very specific name.
Big Ben guides Sir Brain into this enclosed chamber without even speaking a command, and he christens it the Holy Meeting Place. And the irony here is just dripping. I mean, holy, we usually think of that as divine or sacred, right? But here, the word has been philologically provoked. It's been brutally stripped of every comforting resonance it might have in, as the text implies, weaker centuries. In this space, holy simply means being set apart from every single illusion that life has any inherent direction. It's an abyss, but it's an abyss that's been given a very precise geometry to make absolutely sure no lies can survive inside. It's a complete, grim stripping away of human comfort, forcing the mind to stare raw entropy right in the face.
Now, we hit the core of the debate, spirit versus the clockwork, the Fichtean clash. So here we see the dialectic in full, terrifying motion. In one corner, our Theseus, Sir Brain, the defender of the honest flame. He's arguing fiercely from the human side of the fracture. He points out that even though the river at the edge of negation nearly erased his very existence, it was his soft residual errors that kept the page from going completely blank. And in the other corner, the antithesis, Big Ben. He is absolute ice, pure subtraction, mechanical entropy heading straight for silence. Sir Brain is desperately defending the soft errors of humanity, our flaws, our warmth, our scars, as our salvation. He's saying knowledge without that human error is just pure subtraction. But Big Ben? Big Ben just coldly writes off those human errors as nothing more than temporary delays on the inevitable road to silence. And then Big Ben laughs, but it's described as the sound of a mainspring wound way past the point of return. He delivers this devastating argument that negation isn't some enemy to fight. Actually, negation is the only honest endpoint of existence. Every moment of solitude, every warm scar you carry, every gear ever cut, it literally all heads toward that exact same silence. He views the universe as a completely indifferent machine, a clock that was never wound by a friendly hand. It merely runs until the spring fails. Just, wow, let that sink in.
Let's look at how the physical space of this stream perfectly reflects that psychological trap, the literal arithmetic of the cell.
6 by 4. The cell measures exactly 6 paces by 4. That's it. It's just enough space to stand up in, but never ever enough space to let you forget about the walls. It perfectly, almost cruelly, symbolizes the claustrophobic limits of human exhaustion pressing in on you. The physical geometry leaves zero room for escape, which is exactly how Big Ben's unforgiving logic operates. It leaves absolutely no room for hope.
And then we have to talk about the word meeting in this so-called holy meeting place. It's another cruel philological joke. Think about it. A meeting usually implies a dialogue, right? A back-and-forth exchange of ideas. But nothing is being exchanged here that hasn't already been predetermined by those denser cells multiplying in the sleeper's physical body. So this isn't a negotiation. Actually, scratch that. It's not a meeting at all. It's a sentencing.
It's delivered in this incredibly cold language of inevitability, driving home the point that the human side of the equation is losing ground before a single word is even spoken. This perfectly sets up a terrifying philosophical inversion that completely flips our understanding of endurance on its head. Okay, let's contrast these two ideas. You've probably heard of Nietzsche's traditional eternal return, right? The whole idea of joyous acceptance, embracing the idea of living your exact life over and over, with the overman transcending the basic human condition. Well, Big Ben introduces an inverted return, and it is bleak. Instead of joyous acceptance, it's just a dark, grinding mechanism. It's the mechanical certainty that the dense, cold form of existence is just going to recur again and again until absolutely no lighter human form is left to even witness it. Under this grim arithmetic, the overman hasn't transcended anything. He's just become the final, absolute, most efficient exhaustion of humanity.
The contrast here is just devastating. The honest flame, human vitality, is nothing but a temporary candle that is guaranteed to burn out. Big Ben, on the other hand, is the unyielding zero, the absolute void that is still going to be there after every single candle is totally exhausted. His prophecy in the dream is absolute. He says he will return, and not because someone summons him with dark fire, but simply because the accumulated weight of all these transformations will inevitably reach its threshold. The human side is fighting a battle that sheer math says it has to lose.
Which brings us to the final morning realization and the concepts of a temporary stay. Let's trace how this nightmare bleeds permanently into the waking world, because it happens in 3 distinct steps. Step 1, that fragile descent into the keyless dream on the 5th night. Step 2, the absolute crushing verdict delivered inside the 6x4 cell. And finally, Step 3, Serbrain actually waking up on the 6th morning. It's a brutal journey from the vulnerability of sleep straight into the crushing weight of reality.
And man, when he wakes up, the reality is just staggering. That 6x4 geometry, it still feels like it's pressed right against his ribs. The prophecy is lodged in his brain like a cold metal pinion. He realizes with terrifying clarity that Big Ben is the inevitable majority of what he is becoming. Yes, the honest flame is still burning, but it's flickering under a much longer, much darker shadow now. Serbrain wakes to the heartbreaking understanding that his human vitality and those precious 7 days he has with his companion, Alara, well, they are really just a temporary stay. It is a brief, beautiful pause before the residual cells finish their grim arithmetic.
So I want to leave you with this question as our explainer wraps up today. In the face of your own inevitable entropy, because the clock is ticking for all of us, what soft errors and honest flames are you defending to hold back the absolute zero? Think about it. Because recognizing the beautiful, sometimes tragic resistance of our own human clockwork, the warmth and the messy errors we create before the spring finally fails, is exactly why a story like this is so profoundly moving and why it absolutely matters. Thank you so much for exploring the architecture of inevitable silence with me today.